It says, but when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together. One of them, the lawyer, asked him a question to test him. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? And he said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And on these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. Now, unlike the previous questions, we're all meant to track Jesus. We find out in Mark 12:34, which is a different narration of this account, that this lawyer actually was making a serious inquiry. He's actually trying to learn from Jesus, so Jesus compliments him and tells him that he is not far from the kingdom. Now, I like ending here because this wraps it all up. This answers that question in the beginning. What's the proper balance between church and state? Like, what's the balance between our obligations of loving God and living among our fellow man? The first and the greatest commandment, Jesus is quoting the Shema. That's from Deuteronomy 6. And that is something that every Jew at that time definitely would know. He says, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, that they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. But how do we do that? How do we show our love for God? Now, some Christians think you show your love to God by going to services and you just sing these wonderful praise songs the whole time, and that's how you show your love. Now, others think showing your love for God means going online and condemning as many people as you can and adopting the siege mentality of, it's just you and me, God, damn that wicked world around us. Is that how you show your love for God? Or do we follow Jesus' explanation of exactly how we are to show our love for God? Jesus took Leviticus 19, which is a set of guidelines on how to be a proper citizen, and he links them right along with the Shema, which is a command of worship. So it appears that Jesus doesn't separate church and state. According to Jesus, the ideal Christian is a model citizen. So Leviticus 19. Okay. It says, when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap your field right up to its edge, neither shall you gather the gleanings after your harvest. You shall not strip your vineyard bare, neither shall you gather the fallen grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor or for the sojourner. I am the Lord your God. So, some really interesting, important lessons here. It's very obvious that for a Christian, our obligation is to take care of those that are less fortunate than us. So that's the first lesson. Second lesson is, it is our obligation to take care of those who are less fortunate. It's not the government's. It's the citizens, it's the people's obligations, the landowner's obligations, not the government's. And also, he doesn't say, you shall glean all your fruit and take it to the poor and deliver it to him while he's watching television. What it says is those who have are to create opportunities so that the poor can work and earn this for themselves. The poor can go out and glean the remnants of the field that you leave behind. So our obligation is to take care of those who are less fortunate, but the biblical way we take care of those who are less fortunate is we create opportunities for them to work and provide for themselves. It says, you shall not steal. You shall not deal falsely. You shall not lie one to another. You shall not swear by my name falsely, and so profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. You shall not oppress your neighbor or rob him. The wages of a hired worker shall not remain with you all night until the morning. You shall not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block before the blind, but you shall fear your God. I am the Lord. You shall do no injustice in court. You shall not be partial to the poor or defer to the great, but in righteousness you shall judge your neighbor. So this whole social justice concept, this social justice nonsense, where they like to group individuals into different classes and say you're supposed to be biased for whatever group the Marxist SJWs deem to be the oppressed class. That's completely antithetical to actual justice. Actual justice requires truth. It says, you shall not be partial to the poor or defer to the great, but in righteousness shall you judge your neighbor. You shall not go around as a slanderer among your people. You shall not stand up against the life of your neighbor. I am the Lord. You shall not hate your brother in your heart, but you shall reason frankly with your neighbor, lest you incur sin because of him. Wow. Is that some great advice for today? See, today, the enemies of God label truth as hate. That's hate speech. But contrary to PC culture, according to God, He measures love by you speaking frankly with your neighbor. Sharing truth with gentleness and respect is love, not accepting falsehoods. It says, you shall not take revenge or bear a grudge against the sons of your own people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. So all moral duty is summed up. Love God, love your neighbor. Or love God and serve God by loving and serving your neighbor.